Tuesday, everybody. RDAP Dan here, Federal Prison Time Consulting. Hope you guys are having another halfway decent night. It's Tuesday. How good can Tuesdays really be, unless you're eating tacos? So we're going to jump into this in a few minutes. We're going to be talking about COVID-19 and the 5 top prisons that are really kind of getting blasted right now for not only deaths, but also inmates that have the infection of COVID-19 within the Bureau of Prisons. That's going to be our main topic tonight. Again, give everybody a few minutes to join. Good evening. Hey, Robert, Bruno Suarez, what's going on? What's going on? Take a time, guys. If you haven't already done so, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. This way you get the updates when we go live with this information. This is a video that we've been talking about for quite a while, specifically on COVID-19 and how it's affecting the prison system. So seeing some reports that came out over the last few days in the media, I thought today would be a great day to discuss this, because I know a lot of you are getting ready to self-surrender, and I know many of you have loved ones within the prisons, specifically the prisons we're going to be talking about tonight. Talking to you, Robert Fuller. So also don't forget, here, let me turn this on. Let's do some selfish branding here for just a second. If you haven't done so, a couple of things. If you text the word my DIY to 76626, that'll put you on a notification list. We'll send you a list of all of our programs, upcoming webinars, master classes that we have, special promotions going on, special pricing. Right now, we do have a really good master class that Jenny's going to be doing a webinar on Monday night, and I'll share that with you guys here for just a second. Let me pull it up here so you guys can see it. And the link is also in the description of this video, and I'll post it again right here for those of you that want to take advantage of this. Post it in here for you one more time. Okay. So here is the class. This is what it's going to look like for those of you. This is the perfect personal narrative. This is going to be a webinar that Jenny's going to be conducting on July 31st, 7 p.m. Eastern time. It's going to go over from A to Z, how to create your narrative, how to write your narrative, how to properly submit your narrative. And it will also come with the review. So once you've finished with the narrative, we'll be able to give you a review, some possible feedback. This way you can make sure that you're creating that outcome for yourself that is so ideal. In addition to that, for those of you that really want to take advantage of it, here is the link, and I just posted it in the live chat. It's also in the description of the video. But it's going to be probably about an hour long. There's going to be a Q&A section at the end of it, and this is going to be one of our first webinars that we've done. So we're pretty excited about this, to be able to give something back to you guys, for those of you that have really been sticking with us for such a long time. So don't forget to go ahead and take a look at that. And so let's go ahead and get off of that. Enough talking about that. All right. So tonight's video, guys, tonight we're talking all about the BOP. We're talking about COVID-19. We're talking about the prisons that are really getting hit the hardest. We're talking about the prisons that have the most inmate deaths. And we're talking about how much of this, I'm not going to say it could have been prevented, but how it could have been dealt with much better. And we're going to see why here in a few minutes. So let's check the comments. Bruno Suarez, what's going on? Hey, Greg Lopez, welcome, welcome. Tamara, hey, Tamara, nice to see you. Always a nice, friendly name hopping up in the room there. We got Robert. Okay, so we got Robert posting some messages. Okay, the mail stopped both ways and don't know why. Is he still at Coleman, Robert, at the Low? And John Paul, what's going on, John Paul? How are you doing this evening? Appreciate I'm sure the H meant hello. So H, back to you, John. And Robert okay, yeah, at Coleman. Haven't heard from our son in 2 weeks. Yeah, Coleman is a hot spot right now, and we're going to kind of dive into this a little bit right now, guys. So let's jump over to the BOP's website. Now, I'm sure many of you, this might be old information to a lot of you, how to navigate the BOP's website. So basically, you want to go to the main URL, bop.gov, which you can see in the URL. Just go to Google, type in BOP, and it'll bring you to the homepage. From the homepage, you can go wherever you want. You can look up your inmates. You can look up specific prisons. But if you want to check out a list of specific prisons and what's going on with infections, people that are, are infected, people that tested positive, people that have passed, negative tests, people that have passed away, also individuals for the staff members that have come down with COVID-19. This is where you want to go. So I don't know if you guys can, how big my screen is. I might be able to enlarge it here a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Let's make it nice and big for you guys. For those of you old men out there and old ladies that don't have good eyesight anymore, I just did the monster size. My screen is like a giant as I'm staring at it. All right. So from the BOP's home page, so you got the home right over here. You'll see where it says COVID-19 resource page, which is about to point at the screen. COVID-19 resource page, which you'll see in the middle of your page. So we're going to click on the COVID-19, and then you're going to scroll down. You're going to go past all of this. The screen is so big now. Right here, right on top of this map, which you can scroll in, it'll show you everything. Right where it says full breakdown and additional details. This is what we want to focus on. Okay, so we're going to go over. Now this, if you want to read this paragraph, it will tell you the BOP has 127,000 federal inmates. The BOP managed institutions, 13,895 in community-based facilities. That's like halfway houses, things like that. People that are out on pre-release. BOP staff complement is approximately 36,000, 1,486 federal inmates, 638 staff. So it gives you the full breakdown. But now when we click on this, and you can see they're adding more and more information to this every day. So over here, you have your facilities, and you can actually do a category by, if you click on this, it will bring you from least to most. So it will give you that order. So you can actually create, it's like a filter on there for you. So as we can see, and this is very prominent and important to Robert Fuller, and this may be why you haven't heard much from your son, but Coleman Low, and this specifically the Low, so Coleman Low FCI is leading the pack right now in inmates that have tested positive. Staff, we're at 20. That's a lot. So you got 100. Now, granted, Coleman Low is a big facility, guys. For those of you that don't know, we can actually click on it here, and I'll bring you over to show you the size of the prison. All visiting at this facility has been suspended until further notice. That's pretty much across the board. But as you can see right now, and that's actually kind of low. It says there's 1,900 total inmates. That's at the Low, specifically at the Low, guys. Okay, so male and female. Wait a minute, sorry. Here, let's go back. Oh, so they brunched it all together. Okay, so 209 of those inmates at the camp, inmates at the FCI. So about 1,700 inmates at the Low. Okay, so going back over here, you can see the deaths. So far, it says there's only one inmate death. I'm not sure if these numbers are completely updated yet, but we're seeing numbers jump every day. And we're going to go to some important articles here in a few minutes that are going to talk why these numbers are drastically jumping. You got Victorville coming right behind it. Victorville Medium 1 at 150 positive inmates, 11 staff. You've got Petersburg Low FCI with 75 positive inmates, 2 staff, no deaths. You have Coleman Medium. Coleman has 64. The Medium has 64, 32. Inmate deaths is 2. So far, Coleman has got 3 deaths so far. And then MCI, or Miami FCI over in Miami, Florida, 60 inmates, 32 staff, 1 inmate death. So Florida is pretty much leading the pack in, at least as far as inmates that are positive for COVID. You can go through this on your own. You can read it. Now, they don't keep day-to-day stats, so it's not like you can go back and compare. Now, if you do want to see comparable stats from the start of this to yesterday to today, Tom Root has been creating an Excel spreadsheet every day because he knows at some point the BOP might try to pull some fudgy stuff. So Tom Root's been creating the numbers and putting it into a spreadsheet every day where we can track it and run our own reports on that. Now, if you go over here and change it to inmate deaths, now, if we jump over inmate deaths and we do it there, now we jump, it kind of changes gears a little bit. We jump over to Butner Low, FCI Butner Low, 16 inmate deaths, guys, 1 positive staff, 648 inmates have recovered, 16 staff have recovered. That's in North Carolina, 16 deaths. And all we're being told, it's crazy because, we're doing a lot of motions right now for individuals that are either trying to file through the CARES Act or the BOP has denied them, or we're going back to the sentencing court. where we're drafting a lot of these motions for the attorneys, and the attorneys are filing them. And of course, one of the things that the judge is going to do before he rules is he's going to want to see any objections by the government or a statement by the government. And when you read these government objections, basically the government saying that it's not that bad. The BOP has complete control over this, saying that the inmate in hand or the defendant in hand doesn't deserve to go home. And it's not like we're asking to go home for basic information. We're asking, or for basic needs. These are people that are high risk. These are people with asthma. These are people with diabetes. These are people that are overweight. These are people that are elderly in age. These are people that 100% are at high risk. If they were to catch this, they are individuals that could very easily fall into these categories of a death rate. These are the type of people that we could see pass away, and why this isn't being taken a little bit more seriously this late in the game. I understand when this first happened, almost, we're almost through this year. And, January, February is when this thing really started to get up there. In March, everybody knew what it was. So even if you give them till March, from March to now, there really hasn't been a whole lot of fixing of the mistakes. Now, they do say they're releasing people, and yes, a lot of people have been released, but there's way more people going into the system than coming out of the system. And there's way more people just being hung out to dry and not getting any relief at all than the amount of people that are being released. So it's not by any means a fair, balanced system at this point. It's incredibly ridiculous. My jabberjaws required some water. So, and now we're going to jump over to an article here. This is a pretty cool little website here, federalnewsnetwork.com. And this is not a biased article. Basically, if you go Google CDC and the BOP in the same sentence, and you do a search for the last 7 days, you're going to see several articles that rose up within the last 5 days. And really what they're saying is, here, let's go through this. Can you guys see this? Or I probably need to blow this one up too for, let's see. So, correctional facilities that have resisted mass coronavirus testing and inmates erred in their decision to only test inmates with symptoms. So basically, first, now they're saying that they only started testing inmates. They're testing everybody right now, but up until recently, they were only testing inmates that showed symptoms, coughing, sneezing, the flu, high fevers, people that were really kind of running ragged. They were only testing those inmates initially. And let's read why. Let's see here. Erred in their decisions to only test inmates with symptoms, leading to a large initial undercount. A recent study at the Center for Disease, CDC, and Prevention suggested. The study released this week examined 13 prisons and jails in California, Colorado, Ohio, and Texas, and 3 federal prisons in states that weren't identified. Most of the institutions waited several days or weeks before the first identified case of COVID-19. And at the beginning of the mass inmate testing, the study found mass testing was expensive and ate up staff time, and rearranging living space for inmates based on results wasn't always possible, correctional officers told researchers. Now, I'm not bashing correctional officers as a whole. I know a lot of them are probably just doing their job. They're doing what they were trained to do. Maybe they weren't trained for this, but basically they were saying that it took up too much of their time. They didn't want to spend the additional money. Now, I know some of these, podunk states maybe don't have any funds, but we know the feds have the money. We know BOP staff makes pretty decent money. We know the BOP gets good funding. And for them to say that they didn't have the time or the ability, or they were too busy to test inmates, is part of the problem here, because they waited months until they started testing individuals. Months after the first few cases were coming out, they still waited months and months to test individuals. That's why when you're looking on the BOP's website, and it tells you, if we go over here to a different section, it gives you some different numbers. Let's see, where was that at? Let's see here. Got the screen so big, I can't recognize it myself. Okay, so you've got number of inmates complete. So like Alderson FPC, for an example. Here, let's go to a bigger one. Okay, Elkton FCI. They finished all of theirs. So basically a little over 2,000 inmates, and they've tested all of them. But you can see some of these, if we go to, here, let's go to pending, like Victorville Medium, 530 inmates and 301 have pending tests. These are individuals that are prisons that really waited a long time to test these individuals unless they showed some strong symptoms, which I think we'll all agree that that's completely really is what's contributing to this problem. And this is why Tom Root and I have been extremely busy, because I don't think any loved one out there right now that has a loved one in prison is trusting that the prison system is going to just do the right thing and send their loved one home. We have a couple of clients that are definitely clinging on to that glimmer of hope. And slowly we see it dissipating more and more, where they keep thinking, well, as soon as my loved one hits 25%, they're going to go ahead and send them home, because that's what they're telling people. Yes, you are seeing people go home, but it's a very small number compared to the amount of people that are just being brushed under the rug. So how do you deal with this? You deal with this by excessively being actively forceful in this situation, by not just going directly to the warden and requesting something through compassionate release, but also doing your due diligence and getting yourself in front of a court after you've exhausted your BOP remedies. Once you've exhausted your remedies at the BOP and you've exhausted the 30-day window, most cases we're not even seeing a response from wardens within the prison. We're requesting these responses that the inmate be considered for home confinement through CARES Act, which, as we can see, part of the CARES Act has given the ability for home confinement to exceed 10%, where prior to that, the most amount of time you would see an individual once they're in prison for them to send them home and finish their prison time at the halfway or on home confinement was 10% of their sentence. So, which isn't very much when you got somebody with a lengthy sentence that just hit the prison. But because of a national emergency, COVID-19, CARES Act has implemented the ability to extend that to where individuals can basically do their entire sentence on home confinement, well beyond the 10%. BOP implemented, well, we want them to serve 25%. First, it was 50%, then it was 25%. And that is not a standard through anybody else other than the BOP. And they've already broken that rule with a couple of highfalutin individuals that were sent home, as we've already seen over the last couple of months, people that did not hit 25%, but they went home. So we know that the BOP has the ability to send people well before they hit their 25%, but we're seeing them hold steady for the average Joe. And then for many others, not getting it all unless there's some real severe issues going on. So you really have to be an advocate for yourself, and you have to hope that you have individuals in your corner that know what they're doing. Tom Root, you guys have seen him on the channel. Tom Root is an amazing asset to the team over here at Federal Prison Time Consulting, that without him, we wouldn't be touching this information. We would be sharing the facts with you guys and hoping you can go get some resource and take some relief. But with Tom Root on the team, we've been able to facilitate this for a lot of individuals that are otherwise just kind of waiting in the rafters for something to fall on them, which can be extremely terrifying. Let's see what we got over here for questions and comments. Tamara. Hey, Sean, how are you doing, bud? Sean Cowgill. Is there any way to find out if he has COVID? I mean, not until you hear from him. The prison more than likely will not call you. So until you get a letter, and I know that must be a terrifying answer to know that you can't just call up and find out if your loved one has COVID. Have you guys tried to call? I'm assuming you've called, tried to speak to the case manager. Is he still in the SHU, Special Housing Unit? Amanda Walton, what's going on? Just reading the messages here. Can an inmate get home confinement if they get COVID? They won't release them if they actively have COVID. They would wait till COVID is through their system, quarantine them. Well, I guess once they test negative for COVID and they go through a quarantine phase, then they could go to home confinement. That's a great question. A lot of individuals want to know that. And a lot of individuals were already on a list to be sent home. And then they tested positive with COVID and it took them off the list. So it can be extremely freaky if you're sitting there waiting. And going through what we were just reading in this article, they talk in this article that the ability to quarantine individuals and social distancing it's almost impossible. You're on top of each other. You guys saw Dr. Sean, Dr. Sultan, who just self-surrendered. He just sent me an email for the first time today. They quarantined him for 21 days. He was in quarantine before they would release him into general public. And he says it's just like it's sardines. He said the minute you get released out into the public, you're right back in with individuals that haven't been quarantined. And it's just such a melting pot of I'm sure they're trying to quarantine the best they can with what they have to work with within the prison. So that would be a rough job to have as, prison staff. If you don't have the decision power to decide who stays and who goes, but you're told to try to find a way to social distance these individuals and create quarantining opportunities, almost impossible. Almost impossible. There's a link to this article, the Federal News Network, in the description of this video as well under media links. And there's also a link to all of the prisons that we're talking about today with COVID-19. If we go back over here, we'll go back to these hotspots. Let's get back to it. So we're looking at the ones that inmate deaths. So Terminal Island is number 3. FCI Terminal Island, Butner Medium 1. So Butner, out of the top 5, they're accounting for, they're up in their 26 individuals that have died just in those 2 prisons alone. Same prison, just 2 different security levels. No staff. So, staff is staying safe, but that's a lot of individuals. And then you have Elkton, FCI. Elkton is the last out of the top 5 there with 9. So Butner and Elkton are a tie there so I guess we should throw in one more. Lexington FMC, Federal Medical Center over in Kentucky. These prisons are just, it goes down, the list goes down and down. There's inmate deaths at a lot of prisons, guys, a lot of deaths within these prison systems. So for individuals that think that it's not serious, in the free world, it's not nearly as serious. In the free world, we can quarantine to what we feel fit. You're not obligated to, breathe into somebody else's space, and not everybody has the same hygiene technique. A lot of people really don't care. They're coughing out and open. A lot of these guys maybe came in sick, or, they came in off of a drug relapse and they're going through rehab, or not rehab, but they're going through, they're trying to get themselves clean in there. Maybe they're having withdrawals and their immune systems are broken down and weak, highly susceptible to catching these diseases. Prison is the last place in the world that I would want to be right now if I were getting ready to go to prison and I had asthma, or I was overweight, or high blood pressure. Any of these things would really kind of create a lot of fear. And if I was older, if I was up in my late 50s to, and above, going into a prison system, your immune system is not what it was. You don't have access to the same types of daily vitamins. You don't have access right now to fresh air and a warmth and the sunshine hitting you. You were locked in and quarantined a lot of the day, where you don't have this movement to move around. So it's extremely scary, extremely scary. If you're interested, in the description of this video, again, there is a link where you can book a consultation with us if you want to find out if you may be a fit, or maybe your loved one is out of prison right now and maybe they're a fit. You got to be real careful to some of these consultants that you talk to. And we'll go ahead and throw one under the bus right now. Who cares? It's one of those days. It's Tuesday. Talk Shit Tuesday. Today we're talking shit about jail time consulting. Guys, be very careful. And I hope they see this. And I hope if you know them, you send them this message. Be very careful of jail time consultants. I forgot the Mike something, the guy's name is over there. Be very, very, very careful. And the reason why I say this is I've had 2 clients just in the last 2 weeks, and several clients before that they are telling things too that are not true. If you have if you're a convicted bank robber, you're not going to a camp. If you're a convicted sex offender, you're not going to a camp. And yet these guys are charging these people designation fees, promising them that they can get them to a camp. And maybe in their contract, it doesn't say promise, but the fact that they're even alluding to them that they might be able to pull some strings and get them into a camp is fraud. It's fucking fraud. It's the same reason why RDAP law consultants got hit by the feds and why they're going to be sitting in prison real soon. So run clear of jail time consulting. There are plenty of other good consultants out there. That's not me just saying I'm the only one that you guys should be looking at. I mean, I probably am, but there's a lot of other good consultants out there that have strong ethics. Justin, Michael, I know you guys have seen them. They're all over the place too, doing big things. Different consultants are going to fall into your suit of what you like and what you don't like. But at the end of the day, we don't all have to get along. But if we start doing things that are unethical and lying, this is what creates a problem for everybody. So be very careful. And the reason why I say this is many of you are looking for assistance right now with compassionate release. Any company that would promise to put somebody in a camp when knowing damn well that they do not qualify for a camp due to the security risk, really concerns me with anything else that they would tell you they can do. So be very, very, Michael Franz, that's his name. Michael Franz at Jail Time Consulting. Jail Time Consultants, something like that. Stay clear. Fraud alert. All right. So that's enough talking shit. Enough talking shit Tuesday. But book a consultation because we will get Tom Root on the line, and Tom Root can really guide you. And at the very least, the consultation's free. It's not going to cost you anything. And worst case scenario, you're going to get a wealth of information and knowledge of what you could be doing differently that you're not already doing. Even if you can't afford the services, you can still pick up some free information to make sure that if you're going to try to go down this path yourself, that you'll have the ability and maybe a better mindset of what you're going to be doing, which is one of the reasons why we're creating a course that Tom Root is going to be helping us create a mastermind course that's going to be a DIY. Again, if you guys want to find out more about the DIY programs that are much more affordable than our full service programs, for those of you that can't afford it, just text the word my DIY, all one word, MYDIY, to 76626, and I will send you a list of available programs. Before we wrap up, on July 31st or August 31st of this month, Jenny is going to be doing a webinar with me. She'll be hosting it. Guys, come check out this webinar. There's a link in the description of the video for it. You definitely want to take advantage of the webinar. It's $49.95. It's the perfect personal narrative webinar. Many of you right now are at that phase where your narrative and your reference letters are really starting to become an important factor in what type of sentence you might be looking at. And again, some of you just can't, especially with COVID-19 and how it's destroying lives and the economy's taking a hit from it. You can take advantage of at least putting your best foot forward and getting yourself some assistance and some help where you can create the best possible letter. Once it's finished, once you use all the tools, we're going to give a full walkthrough on it. Jenny's going to explain it. She's going to go over the do's and don'ts. You're going to get a free sample of what a personal narrative should look like when it's finished. And then when you do your own, you send it over to us for review. We'll give you some feedback on it, and you're off to the races, guys. It's not going to get any better than that. It's definitely not going to get any more affordable than that. You don't want to trust one of these cheesy templates you find off the internet that was written by maybe some legal attorney or a paralegal, somebody that found a way to put something on LegalZoom and charge $20 for it. This is going to be formatted, created, your education and the webinar experience is going to come directly from Jenny, who has been running our department especially on the letter department, on everything coaching related for over the last couple of years. So you're going to be getting firsthand experience from a letter assassin. Her name is Jenny. So definitely take advantage of that, guys. Don't miss it. Description is in the link of the video. Other than that, we're over here at Federal Prison Time Consulting, just trying to stay safe, trying to keep you guys up to speed on what's going on, keeping you educated with issues that are coming your way. RDAP is another killer right now. Everybody wants to get an RDAP. They want to knock some time off of their sentence. And who cares? That's a great reason to want to take RDAP as long as you have substance abuse issues. Take advantage of it. But many prisons right now are not running RDAP. RDAP is on pause. Some places may never run it again. COVID has just caused chaos through that. So make sure you're paying attention to, don't just think because you have it in your PSR that you're going to get to prison, you're going to qualify for RDAP. Remember, it's not just based on the sentence you receive. It's based on how much time you have left on your sentence when you enter the program. So if you're given the minimum required sentence of 24 months to qualify for RDAP to be able to take the program, and you get to prison and RDAP's on hold for the next 3, 4, or 5 months, you're not going to be able to take it. You're not going to get the sentence reduction. Or for those of you that were already in the middle of taking the program and they paused it, unless it was a very short-term pause and you still have enough time to finish it, many of you damn near almost completed RDAP and got yanked out of it, and you lost all of your earned time credit. So it's a very unforgiving place to be in the prison system right now. If you haven't already gone in and you're expecting to be able to take programs, First Step Back, earn time credits, this is the time that you really want to do your best to prolong your self-surrender, unless you really just want to get in and get it started. But if you want to serve the least amount of time in positioning yourself, give us a call, set up a consultation. The link is in the description of the video, guys. Use the consultation link because we can help you with self-surrender extensions. Make it, but it has to be a verifiable reason. We can help make sense of this. If you're showing you're somebody that needs the assistance of the programs that the prison system has to offer, and you can't take those programs right now because they're not being offered, that is a valid reason to potentially have a sentence or a self-surrender date postponed. So don't just sit on your thumbs and wait for things to fall in place. And most of you that haven't been sentenced yet, do not allow yourself to navigate your mind and gravitate to the thought that they're not going to sentence me to prison because of COVID-19. They're going to give me home confinement or halfway house or probation. We are hearing this more and more from individuals, especially you elderly individuals. Many of you, I spoke to a gentleman yesterday who's convinced, he's convinced that they're going to just give him home confinement because he's older. He's in his 70s. And just because you're in your 70s does not mean that judge is going to give you home confinement because of COVID-19. We would like to think so in a perfect world, but we are flat point blank seeing the opposite happening. We have clients getting sentenced every day. We have clients self-surrendering every day. And just because they try to make it sound like they're doing a lot to facilitate getting individuals out of the prison system, the amount that they're doing is bare minimal just to say they're doing it. But the reality is most of you are going to go into the prison system. So creating any type of reasons to stall until this thing kind of gets some ground, some legs on it, and we know what's next, or the cure has magically appeared after the election. Who knows how that's going to play out? But now is the time to start requesting and documenting medical reasons, getting all your medical records, putting together a good narrative to an attorney that he's going to submit as part of a motion is why you're asking for a substantial additional time before you self-surrender. You need to have this stuff prepared. You can't just go in there at the last second and flail around and think you're going to figure it out. Jamie Canales, what's going on, my man? I got some questions going in here. Let's see. I don't know who I missed here. Let's start off with Jamie. Jamie Canales, how does home confinement work for an inmate who has good health but has a spouse at home with serious? That's an ideal situation. You need to be able to create a severe reason why somebody needs for home confinement for compassionate release. Jamie's basically asking, what if the inmate or the loved one in prison is not sick, but they have a spouse on the outside that is either sick, or they're one of the individuals that we had on the show a couple months back. You saw the reason why she was given compassionate release, and we facilitated this for her. The reason why she was given it was because once COVID-19 hit, her children couldn't go to school, and the father has a job, couldn't stay home with the kids. It created a reason that they needed another parent at home, and there was no other caretakers. BOP denied it, of course, which we knew, but we exhausted BOP remedies within 30 days and then went directly back to the sentencing court in, I believe it was in Honolulu, and she was granted compassionate release, not because she was sick, not because she was old. I think she's in her 30s or 40s. She was given compassionate release because the children needed a caretaker at home, and that was a strong enough reason for the judge to consider it valid. So great question, Jamie. Thank you for asking that. You do not have to be sick to qualify, but there has to be some compelling reasons. Let's see. There you go. That's what you were just talking about, Jamie. Jamie's talking about the extenuating circumstances. That is a they got to be compelling and extenuating circumstances in order to be considered. So there's got to be a valid reason. And if there's a valid reason, doesn't mean you're going to get it, but you should be considered. Oh, wow. Don't celebrate. Obviously, I won't be celebrating anything for you on that day. Hopefully you'll hear from your son before the 31st, Robert, but happy anniversary for you. 47th. That's a long time. You and your wife. Congrats. That's good to see people that are really stuck with it. And hopefully me and Shelly will be able to say that someday. Awesome. Ted Dalton. I don't think you get home confinement for that. Believe that is part of compassionate release. So it is part of compassionate release, but what it is, it's a sentence modification. Usually what they'll do is they're not just going to release you. They're going to modify your sentence. You're going to go finish. You're going to go do or you're going to go do home confinement. So the judge would end your prison sentence and then give you home confinement for what the remaining of your sentence would be. So it works out to be about the same. But in some cases, a judge can just completely exonerate your sentence and you're home free and clear. That's usually done for other circumstances, like a lot of these individuals you've seen over the last few months on the news. Amanda Walton, sorry. What if someone is being held without bail at a detention center in Brooklyn and has bad asthma problems? Have they been designated yet? If they've been designated, we're actually doing this for another individual right now. He actually might be at the same place. If they've been designated, we can contact the warden of who they've been designated to start the 30-day process at the prison they're going to be designated to, and then go to the sentencing judge. So yes, you can still broach the issue, Amanda. Yolanda, I had a question. I have a loved one that applied for CR, but was denied, then transferred. He's not positive for COVID. Can he apply again? What's the reasons they're applying? Age, health. Give me. He's not positive for COVID-19, but what are some reasons that he's applying, Yolanda? And then we can touch base on that one. My loved one is underlining issues, but hasn't tested positive. Yes, he can. Does he have medical validation? Can he prove? Does he have medical records validating that he has underlying conditions? That's going to be the big question. If he can prove, then yes, he can apply. Or not apply, but now when you say he was he denied at the prison or was he denied at the court? Health. Yeah. So give me some more information, Yolanda, and we can talk on that one a little bit. I'm going to be running on this for I'm going to try to wrap it up in maybe 5 to 10 minutes. If I missed anybody's question, please feel free to throw your question back in there. It's already scrolled past because I was chatting away. Maybe we'll do a next Tuesday. Maybe we'll do a Talk Shit Tuesday, and we'll actually call Jail Time Consultants live and see how they handle some of the questions. I have emails to verify. This is not me just making this stuff up. I have emails that they've actually sent clients making threats. Insane. He has high blood pressure. Here, let me show the question in the room so everybody can see it. He has high blood pressure and lost the mother of his kids due to a murder. Very sorry to hear that. As far as the reason for losing the mother of his kids, that potentially could be a reason if there's no other caretaker, if there's nobody else to take care of the children, that could be a potential reason. Also, what is he in prison for could play into a factor into this. The fact that he was denied at the prison is very common. Most individuals we see are denied at the prison. Once he's denied at the prison, he then can go back in front of the sentencing judge. He can then file a motion with the courts, which that's through the First Step Act. Prior to the First Step Act, you could not motion to court for any type of compassionate release. You could only do it at the BOP level. And if the BOP shot you down, that was it. You were done. First Step Act says as long as you exhaust your BOP remedies first, you can now bring it back to the sentencing court for that, which is good news. He's the only parent available. So the best thing I can say to you, Yolanda, is here. Give me a second here, guys, and I will. Let me grab the link. I'm gonna give you the link right now in the description of the video. I'm gonna post it in the chat for you. I would say book a consultation because I could say yes, but without looking more into it. And I know probably some information you're not going to want to share publicly over, but there's a link right there I just posted. feel free to grab that link and book yourself. Consultation is free. And we can find out what options you might have to see if there's anything that can benefit you. You know, there's nothing worse, guys. I remember doing what I do now for a living. It's a constant reminder of prison and what it was like going through this. And, you know, I tell you guys, my overall experience was more or less positive, definitely more positive than negative. Well, the prison experience part of it was definitely more positive. The pretrial section of it was, oh my God, I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to run. I can't deal with this. Oh, poor me. Boo hoo. I'm such a victim. This isn't fair. And that lasted from 2011 until 2014 before I went into prison. But once I actually started my prison sentence, my life turned around all for the better. You know, I found peace. I was able to take control of my life. I was able to take ownership for the mistakes that I made. I realized that most of the problems I had in life were created by my own doing. So taking charge of my life, paying attention to consequences, thinking about what I'm doing. Still make mistakes to this day, but not nearly the type of mistakes I used to make. And I'm a lot quicker to make a comeback today. If I F up and do the wrong thing or do somebody dirty by mistake, I will be the first one to apologize and make it right, or try to make it right. You don't have to say, you take my apology, but I'm doing it because it's the right thing to do. So prison now has changed a little bit. You know, now it's like a lockdown situation, even for campers and low. You know, they're feeling the real wrath. You know, one of my friends, who's also a client, Ryan, who I met as a client, turned into friends in Spokane, Washington. His fiance just got released on CARES Act, which was amazing. She was in and out. She's at home now with her daughter, but Ryan's still there. The husband, he's still there. Poor guy. And he just tells me it's, you know, make and do the best you can, but it's that clock tick tock very slow, where for me it was day in, day out, man. You're so many activities packed into one day, going out, working out, taking classes, walking the track, you know, watching a movie, whatever it was. My days were full. Now it seems like you're kind of stuck in the unit and you're probably going a little stir crazy, like a goldfish, just swimming round and round and round. So I do not envy anybody that's going through this right now. My heart goes out to all of you. So yeah, there you go. That's what we got today, guys. Pretty basic stuff. Definitely don't just think the BOP is going to all of a sudden release your loved one when they hit 25%. Also, don't think, if you haven't been sentenced yet, don't allow you to think that, oh, I don't need any help with this. I don't need to worry about if I'm going to get RDAP. I don't need to worry about personal narratives, reference letters, or having a consultant work with me because of COVID, they're just going to send me to home confinement anyway. If that thought is in your head, I get it. Think positive, have a positive mindset, but also stay real, stay on planet Earth. Don't, you know, get too up there with talking to the aliens and getting lost in la la land and, you know, fairy tale land, because the reality is most of these judges are going to send you to prison. Yeah, I'll be surprised if any of you tell me that a prosecutor or the U.S. attorney has recommended probation when you have guideline ranges that call for prison time. You show me one of those, I would love to share that on the channel, because it's very rare, unless you have real low guidelines, to see the government offer or recommend probation. So don't allow yourself to get that complacent thinking that you're not going to go because of COVID. You're going to go because of COVID. It doesn't change anything. The difference is if you're not preparing, you're going to serve more time than you need to in a higher risk situation. So do yourself a favor, book a consultation, take it serious, get yourself on board with probably the best consulting team in the United States over here at Federal Prison Time Consulting. And if you're not going to hire Federal Prison Time Consulting, definitely don't hire jail time consultants with Mike Bozo, whatever his name is, because those guys are crooks. And we're probably going to see them on the hit list soon when the feds cave in their doors. So, all right, guys, I'm RDAP Dan. Coyote, there's my man, Coyote Profit. Thank you. That's our hype man right there, guys. Everybody give Coyote a big thumbs up. Guys, give a thumbs up right now, but not for me. Give it for Coyote, our hype man. Coyote joins the room. He's always getting you guys hyped, telling you guys to leave the thumbs up. Don't forget to go book your personal narrative, the Perfect Personal Narrative webinar, July 31st. It's going to be with Jenny, $49.95. And if you hate it and you don't think you got your money's worth, I will give you your money back on this one. This is how sure I am that we're going to be giving you guys a solid product that you are going to be able to move mountains with if you're not able, now obviously hiring us is going to give you that much more. But if you can't hire us, but you can swing $50, that's going to be your next best thing. Do not guess this thing. Don't just think your attorney's going to do it for you. Don't think you already know how to write your letters and you have a perfect understanding of this, because you could put yourself into a more desperate situation than you're already in. Guys, I'm RDAP Dan, Federal Prison Time Consulting, people helping people, communities method, one day at a time. Hope you guys have a fantastic Taco Tuesday. I am going to go bug Shelly, tell her to cook me some dinner. If she heard me say that, a shoe would fly across the room and hit me in the back of the head. All right, guys, have a safe time. Love you all. Peace. I'm out of here. Later.